Gilbert Burns and Vicente Luque fantasy prediction. Now, this is another one kind of like a Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Islam Makhachev, where they're kind of friends, training partners. They're really not going to fight each other. I don't really envision Vicente Luque saying, I want Gilbert Burns. I don't envision Gilbert Burns going out there, I want Vicente Luque. If you look at the UFC rankings, it would make sense. It would make sense that Vicente Luque and Gilbert Burns would probably fight each other, but no, we do have Gilbert Burns fighting Khamzat Chimaev, and we do have Vicente Luque fighting Belal Muhammad. It would make much more sense to just have number 4 and number 2 fight. The winner gets a title shot with Kamaru Usman. That is obviously not going to happen. They got to build Hamza's name. Belal's on the streak, so they got to give him someone above the rankings. So I don't think it's going to happen ever. Maybe if they were, like, one of them was an actual champion of the UFC welterweight division, maybe it would happen in that case, but that is why it is a fantasy prediction. Most likely, it's not going to happen, but again, if it were to happen, we're just going to do our prediction for that. Vicente Luque is a lot younger. He is at 30 years old in his MMA career, so we will have the age advantage here. The jiu-jitsu, definitely going Gilbert Burns. The size, I don't really think there's too much of an advantage there. The wrestling, I would go Gilbert Burns as well. Striking power, I would go Vicente Luque. Maybe volume, I will go Gilbert Burns. Actually, it's pretty even there. I would give the overall striking advantage to Vicente Luque, but with as good of a wrestler and grappler as Gilbert Burns is, I don't think that Vicente Luque's striking advantage is going to be as big of an advantage as Gilbert Burns' advantage is going to be on the ground. So it's another one of those situations where they're both having clear advantages. Like, Vicente is clearly going to be the better striker. He's got a lot more power, just rocking guys in his last few fights, like Tyron Woodley, knocking out Randy Brown, knocking out Nico Price, doing really, really good in the striking in the UFC. Whereas Gilbert, I mean, his striking is decent. He knocked out Damian Maia. He had a decent fight with Steve Boy Thompson, but if he's winning most of these fights, it's mainly him taking the fight down and using that wrestling and ground and pound, and that's what he's gonna have to do against Vicente Luque with the power that Vicente does possess. So overall fantasy prediction, I would go Gilbert Burns by a decision there. I don't think he's gonna finish Vicente Luque, as I don't really recall. That was the last time. It was about 9 years ago against Carlos Pereira by submission. Yeah, you might think a good jiu-jitsu guy like Gilbert Burns might be able to get the submission, but it was like 8 or 9 years ago. I don't expect a finish from Gilbert Burns. I will go Gilbert by unanimous decision. Whether it's 3 rounds or whether it is 5 rounds, Gilbert, being the better wrestler and grappler, would probably give him the win there. So early prediction for this fantasy matchup, Gilbert Burns and Vicente Luque. I'm going to go Gilbert Burns by a unanimous decision.